What is going on, everybody? What is up? Me and Bash back in the building this week, talking about none other than 49ers training camp. There's a good amount of news to talk about, so we're going to jump right into it. But before we do, I just want to see how you're doing, Bash. How is everything?
Doing good. It's been like 100 degrees almost every single day out here, if not higher than 100 degrees. But I still found a way to do a barbecue today. Cooked up some steaks, and I had a good dinner, you could say, before I started my stream. So I'm feeling good.
Yeah, it's pretty warm on this side of the country as well. I go back to work next week, so I'll be out in it for sure, sweating my ass off. But hey, but this time of year comes training camp and 49er talk, and everybody's losing it, talking about Brock Purdy throwing training camp interceptions. It's the title of the stream, so I figure we get into it. Um, are you one of those people who reads a ton into training camp reports? Because we know, me and we've done this YouTube thing. We're on Twitter. There's a lot of 49er content creators. Most of them I have blocked, but um, training camp statistics, especially quarterback statistics, as we know, has been like a bone of contention over the last couple of years when people were trying to kind of push a narrative like who should start, who should be traded, who shouldn't play, blah, blah, blah. And sure enough, Brock has a really, he had a good first half of camp, and then he had kind of a bad ending to camp. Today, he didn't throw any picks, which you really shouldn't read too much into that either because it's training camp. But you, Bashar, are you one of those people that reads a ton into that? Or are you like me where it's just like, whatever, come talk to me when the regular season, is playing out?
Yeah. Well, I used to be more involved in it, and I used to look forward to seeing which quarterbacks did what during training camp, more so because we were in situations where we didn't know what we had. Obviously, we had Jimmy G, Trey Lance in the mix. At one point Purdy was in the mix with all three of them, so it's just you didn't really know who's who. And if you're in a situation where it's more of a real official quarterback competition, of course, that's kind of like the only thing you have to go off of early on. But obviously, if you're going into a training camp where for at least a season and a half that this is your bona fide starter, and this starter did a lot of excellent things that very few quarterbacks have early on in their careers, you're going to feel pretty confident with who your quarterback is and not necessarily care about those things. Case in point, myself, I just don't really care if he has a bad day. And, he stacked on a lot of good days before that. And even in his bad day, he's still connected on a lot of good throws. And keep in mind, like, I watch some podcasters say this the other day about training camp and practice. And I'm glad somebody finally threw this out there, because I said it yesterday. I might have said it yesterday. I might have forgotten to say it, but I wanted to say it yesterday. So I've been to training camps before. And for anybody who says that they can watch training camp and tell you everything that goes on, they're lying. I'm pretty sure these beat writers and content creators or whoever it is that goes to camp, pretty sure they share notes and they trade notes, because there's so many drills going on, 5 or 6 different types of drills going on all at once with various position groups. So I'd be sure if they do run the scrimmages, you can get a better idea when it's 11 on 11, obviously. And now the one thing I did notice when I went to camp last year that stood out to me was the red zone drills. And when I saw that, it was clear cut that Brock Purdy was doing much better in the red zone drills than Trey Lance was. And case in point today, Brock Purdy threw 4 touchdowns to various receivers in those red zone drills. Kittle, Pearsall, I believe Debo. I forgot who the other one was, but yeah, I mean,
Ronnie Bell.
Yeah, it was Ronnie Bell. You're right. For the most part, Purdy's been doing pretty well in camp. Sure, a bad day or two isn't going to change my mind. It's just not. We've seen him on games, and if he did ever have a game where he was terrible in the Ravens game, it's just a one-time thing, more or less.
Yeah, you're right. You go to training camp, there's no way you can watch offensive line, wide receivers, quarterbacks, and everything else that's going on at the same time, route running, what the defense is playing, what they're doing. I just think a lot of it has to do with it drives people to watch, to kind of have an all-out panic attack about the quarterback situation. Remember last year, I mean, there was people out there saying that Trey Lance looked better at camp and that, he should have been the starter or at least had a chance to compete for it. 49ers kind of shut that down really quickly and was like, Brock's the guy, and that was that. And if you look at some of the training camp video of Trey Lance, it's pretty much what we thought it's pretty much more of the same, as far as like throwing picks, inaccurate, all that kind of stuff, bad mechanics. Is why I like I said, I've unfollowed a lot of people on Twitter and blocked them because I'd rather get information from people I trust that have been at training camp, like Raj from RSF 49ers Live, Sterling Bennett, guys like that. Like, I don't want anybody going in with a narrative to try to push because they have massive followings and they got to push out, some, intriguing content all the time. I like when there's not a narrative. And it's refreshing how much less of that is on my feed now on Twitter. It's nice. Somehow sometimes people still share stuff and I'm like, I thought I blocked that, but I don't know, man. I don't understand. Like, what would we do if he was struggling so bad? There's no quick fix. It's not like we can go out and get a quarterback here in August. You know what I mean? I don't understand. I think it did great last year. Was he perfect? No. Did he have a couple bad games where he, played like a lemon? Absolutely. The Ravens game was bad. The Browns game wasn't his best game, but like all quarterbacks have bad games, even the greatest. So I think we're so quarterback centric on this franchise because of the history and because of how much, we try to compare and contrast to other teams and what they have behind center. And we see, Brock doesn't have the biggest arm. He's not the biggest guy. He doesn't have the biggest hands. He's not the quickest. So like there's always that thing kind of rolling around in people's heads. And you can even, from what I've heard from people that have told me, people are still talking about not necessarily Trey Lance, but they're still kind of like trying to refocus people's attention to the struggles and saying like, is this guy the elite quarterback? Is he the future? They're still rolling with that narrative. And I just think it's foolish at this point, but what are you going to do?
I mean, Brock Purdy, I was saying this yesterday on my show with John V. I mean, Brock Purdy, there's a recent interview and a lot of people read it. A lot of people may have missed it, but this guy literally says that he wants to be dominant. He wants to be great. He was throwing in Tom Brady's name in the conversation when he was saying all this. And he was still bitter actually about how the 49ers were considering signing Tom Brady after Purdy got hurt against the Eagles in the offseason, and he was kind of like, hey, I beat this guy. Why are you guys trying to sign him? Hey, well, I feel like I can be what Tom Brady was with the 49ers. I mean, those are big words, but he's a very confident individual. He's proven he can play, man. I mean, I'm not going to put it past him. And I'm really excited to see him with that kind of drive and that type of determination. I mean, you can never measure one's heart. But I just think at the end of the day, this guy has more heart than a lot of players who may have better physical abilities than him. Because they're so worried about the strong arm quarterback. I know he doesn't look like an elite quarterback, but I don't know, man.
It's like a weird obsession. It's almost like a weird obsession. It's like guys that are only interested in chicks with really, really nice bodies.
I thought you were going to say big something.
horrible individual, but she looks really good. So it's kind of the same thing. Like the outward appearance is all people focus on. Joe Montana wasn't a big, strong, hulking quarterback.
He was super skinny, that guy.
Super skinny, kicker looking, and he's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. He has 4 Super Bowls, never threw a pick. All that, all those great statistics that guys like me like to kind of keep smacking people in the face with because I'm a Joe Montana guy, even though. Anyways, I want to change the topic a little bit, and we'll keep Brock Purdy in play on the next topic. But the NFL released their NFL Top 100, and the Niners are really well represented. It's kind of a good and bad thing, if you ask me, Bashar, because it's like we lost the Super Bowl. Who cares, right? Who cares if we're on this list? But at the same time, it's a testament to John Lynch and Kyle and the players. We're one of the best teams, one of the best rosters in the NFL, whether we want it or not. And the league, the players think it themselves, and a lot of 49er players are in the top 100. We got, I'm reading them out of order, so don't kill me. Got Fred Warner at 11th, George Kittle at 14, Nick Bosa at 27, Brock Purdy at 28, Deebo Samuel 30, Brandon Ayuk 66, Dre Greenlaw 76, Christian McCaffrey and Trent Williams are yet to be announced. Anybody in those numbers that are listed there that you think are in the wrong place? Like, for instance, myself, I think Deebo and Ayuk should be switched. personally, but I'd love to hear your opinion.
Yeah, I definitely consider Ayuk more of a pure receiver, more so than Debo. I know Debo's a playmaker, we all know, but I just prefer having Ayuk. I'd rather have Ayuk in general. Ayuk's more of a number one to me than Debo is, and Debo does have his games where he goes off and he's the most dominant player on the field for that particular game. I get it. It's just Debo needs to learn how to separate better at the same time too. I've heard some things in camp where he's not doing the greatest in terms of separation, and it's kind of messing up Brock a little bit when he's throwing the deep ball. And we all know that Ayuk can separate a whole lot better. Yeah, I didn't want to go off course with the receivers too much, but yeah, I mean, I'm never really a big person. I never really cared too much about the top 100. It's cool to get your players on there. We have a ton of players on there, so I think it's more than enough to satisfy the 49er fans. If there's 49er fans who are itching and scratching for more players to be named on there, for players to be ranked higher on there, I think you need to set your football priorities straight a little bit, because what we do as a team is a lot more important. And it's great to have players recognized. Don't get me wrong, but I just don't think it's the most, I don't think it's the end all be all at the end of the day. And back to Purdy really, really quick. You mentioned his training camp interceptions. It was kind of funny because I saw on my suggested videos, they had something with Nick. It was on the show First Takes. I believe it's on ESPN or maybe FS1. I'm not sure what channel it's on. What up, Fazil? I ran into Fazil last year. The first time I got to meet him over at Levi's for that Giants game. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was cool to see him.
Thank you for pronouncing his name, because I would have completely destroyed it.
Well, I'm saying it more of the American way, I guess, but it's cool. It's an easy way to say it. I mean, Purdy. I saw the video suggested for me to click on it, and it was Nick Wright, a thumbnail of Nick Wright and some other dude. I forgot his name, and I didn't care. I was like, big deal. Wow, they're having a gigantic discussion about Purdy's training camp interceptions. They must have ran out of things to talk about. But oh well. I mean, there's plenty of stuff to talk about in the Olympics, I assume, but they'd rather talk about Purdy and his camp interceptions. So.
Going back to the Purdy camp interceptions, Purdy was actually asked about those, and he said that they work on things in training camp. They work on certain things and they go for it. And he's like, we're not going to try certain things in games and throw interceptions, but they're going to attempt to try things in practice. He also, how much of that is that we have a good defense too? Like, what do you want to see? Do you want to see the defense completely dominate and the offense look horrible? There has to be that give or take, at least with me. When you have a defense that has Fred Warner, Bosa, and all these other players on it, Jair Brown in his second season, and you got, Flanagan Falls out there, who could be the number 3 linebacker this year. What do you want to see? I don't understand. Like, what are people looking for? You can't have a perfect training camp if you're trying to be objective and look at both sides of the ball. I know we were talking about the top 100, but it kind of makes sense because all these top 100 players are all on different sides of the ball, and you're trying to be objective and look at them all separately. So to me, it's like, try everything you got to try in training camp, and see where it takes you. Don't experiment in games. If you're not convinced that Brock Purdy's the guy still after this is his 3rd year in the league, I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't know what world you're living in. I don't know what kind of biased mindset you have that you're just not going to allow Trey Lance to be forgotten about, and you're always going to be pissed off and always, point at every single flaw that the kid has and say, well, Trey Lance was here. That happened last year. The Browns game or the Ravens game, someone was trying to say if Trey Lance was in the game, it wouldn't have happened. I'm like, he's not even on the team.
He's not even active in Dallas. When we were in the playoffs, there were a couple of Niner fans arguing with some friends of mine, and one of them was saying that if Trey Lance had played this season, this team would have been undefeated with him as the starting quarterback and going into the playoffs. I'm like, dude, what crack are you smoking, dude? If he's that great, Shanahan would be an idiot and be stupid and would have traded him away. He would have beat out Purdy and he'd be the starter, point blank. If he was that great.
Bazil said you have to try stuff. I agree, Aaron. Thank you very much. And Steve-O knows, says exactly, Aaron. Practice interceptions don't mean much. That's the time you learn and gain chemistry, as you mentioned, a top tier defense. Yeah. So how do you? I just don't understand what people want. So if the defense is getting cooked and he's not making any mistakes, now you're worried about the defense, right? What? I don't know, man. Like I said, people have different ways to make content, and they have to they can get all up in the camera with their little training camp reports and say the sky's falling and the end is coming because Brock had a bad practice. I mean, other quarterbacks have had really bad practices, including Patrick Mahomes early in his career, throwing like 5 or 6 in a training camp practice. So to me, it's good. Hey, it's good conversation. It gives us something to talk about, right? So whatever. As far as the top 100 goes, where do you see Christian McCaffrey and Trent Williams going? I'm thinking Trent or Christian McCaffrey might be number 2. Personally, I don't know. What about you?
I need to pull up the whole list because I don't know where the running backs are ranked. I mean, NFL top 100 list, right? Yeah, because I got to see what you're talking about. I didn't even glance at it, but I mean, yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to have Christian McCaffrey ranked as a top running back on the. Looking at it right now, actually, running back on the list, but I don't have. Yeah, so 1 through 10 are coming soon. Here we go. Okay, my guess is CMC would probably be ranked 8. That's just my wild guess right there.
Trent Williams maybe at 10. You're not going to have an offensive lineman in the top 10, I don't think, personally.
I think there's 10 players remaining basically on the list, so he could be
okay. Not within the top like 9. Yeah. About that.
maybe he's at 9. Who knows? Or I'm not sure. Yeah, I haven't looked at past lists to see how they normally rank the tackles. But I'm glad to get the list now, just to get an idea of what's going on here.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, CeeDee Lamb's one of the top wide receivers I see that they have him ranked above our guys. AJ Brown's ranked above our guys. Justin Jefferson, obviously. Amon-Ra St. Brown. I was telling some Niner fan the other day that I thought Amon-Ra St. Brown was better than Ayuk, and he was telling me I was wrong. And I don't know. That's definitely up for debate. Yeah, I did definitely see some names on here. And really quick, back to practices. And anybody who's played sports knows that you're going to have your bad practices from time to time, especially in football. Again, they do work on new things that they've never worked before. The whole chemistry, we have between now and all the way up to like almost mid-September to work on the kinks. And if there's things that Purdy's that have been lacking at and things that he wants to get better at and he's not that good at, they probably want to work on it and, try to make him better at that, try to make it a strength. And so he'll have his up and downs from time to time if they're trying to work on such things. Just how football works.
I'll tell you what, though, people can say whatever they want about Purdy. He's in the top 100 voted by his peers. 28, pretty fair. I think 28's fair for Brock Purdy, considering.
That's really good for his first full season to get 28th ranked in the whole NFL.
Last pick in the draft. And his peers, who cares what other freaking people on YouTube and Twitter are saying? His peers have said, you're one of our better players in the league. Regardless if, he's got weapons and why do you care if you're a 49er fan? What's to gain by constantly diminishing him all the time? I do not get that. You should be through the roof and just out of your mind that we have this guy quarterback. I don't understand why we continually have to rehash this. Nick Wright, screw Nick Wright, okay? He was a nerd in school, probably got his books dumped on a daily basis, and now he's got a national television show. You ever notice like the nerds or the sucky athletes like Orlowski always have the biggest mouth and the biggest opinion on everything, but either they sucked at life or they sucked at sports, or some do both. I find that intriguing. Talking about Ayuk being in the top 100, everybody, we know what's going on with Ayuk as we kind of change topics here. Ayuk was at training camp today, as he's been there. He just hasn't been practicing. There was the handshake seen around the world. I personally thought that maybe they signed something and they were going to announce it after practice. Didn't happen. Did you catch the handshake that everybody was talking about? And were you in the mindset that he had signed, or were you like super negative and like, nah, I don't think so?
You know what? This might be able to go either way. I want to think of it as a positive, but so some people were saying like, if they're really closer to get a deal done, it would have been a longer hug, a longer embrace. And
people were counting taps.
Yeah,
one tap means you're traded, 2 means you're staying.
So we were analyzing it like, it's more of like, hey, thank you guys for getting the deal done for me to play elsewhere to get me my bag since you guys couldn't get it done here. I don't know. And some people think like it would have been a longer, more legit embrace that they're going to get a deal done. So who knows? It's really hard to read in between the lines here. if we do trade him away and he gets his bag elsewhere, we better not get fleeced. We better, make sure we get our bag on the other end of the trade, but we shall see. And we do have a lot of depth at that position. Now, there's only none of the guys on our team are obviously as good as Ayuk, including Debo. I don't care what that ranking says. Debo's not as good as Ayuk. But we do have a lot of
wide receiver. No, Ayuk is the best in the group. For now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. And really quick, back to Purdy. You mentioned him being 28. The only guys who are ranked above him so far, since we haven't seen the top 10, obviously Mahomes is going to be on there.
Of course.
And but names like Josh Allen are ranked above him. Dak Prescott's ranked above them, 16. I find that a bit iffy. I don't know. CJ Stroud is ranked above him, and the dude from the Eagles, I just had his name pulled up.
I can understand CJ Stroud just because he's a rookie last year.
Yeah, he had a really big rookie season. I mean,
did really well for himself.
Jalen Hurts is the other guy.
Yeah. He had a fall back down.
Jalen Hurts was shaky, dude. He had his moments, but yeah, he's kind of gimmicky, dude.
Again, see, this is the thing. We're reading into it. We don't read into it, but then we kind of do in a way because, for me, 28 was a fair ranking for Purdy. Now, if he won a Super Bowl, I could see maybe he was up close to the top 20. But Leon Sandcastle, he says, I will turn into Will Smith when I hear trash talk about Brock. Keep my quarterback's name out your blanket mouth. 100%. I just don't understand at this point, as an analyst or as a tweeter, Instagrammer, a TikToker, whatever you're doing. At this point, what are you gaining by constantly questioning the quarterback position? He's going to get paid next year. This coming offseason, he's getting paid. I know people are, like I said, I know it drives clicks and views. Trust me, I wish I had them, but I'm not selling my soul to the devil for that. It's just, to me, I'm happy. Do I think he's the best quarterback in the NFL? No. Do I think he's better than Trey Lance? Yeah. Do I think he's better than the quarterbacks we just mentioned, Josh Allen and Mahomes? Of course not. But he's good enough for us. He got the job done. It wasn't him that made the bad block in the Super Bowl. It wasn't him who got gouged all the way down the field to lose the Super Bowl on the last drive. It was the defense. Brock hits that guy if he has pass protection in the Super Bowl. And maybe we're talking about a whole different outcome, but it is what it is. It didn't happen.
I was going to say that wasn't even a bad block. That was a woof. Like, you got Chris Jones. Damn, Chris Jones.
He ruined our last Super Bowl, right?
Best defensive tackle sitting right in front of you. And like, I don't know. I'm going to go double team somebody else rather than focus on the guy who's the best player on that D line right in front of me. I don't know. I can never forgive Burford for that. I'm sorry.
Spencer Burford.
I hate that name. We've said his name and made fun of his name so many times, and now I can't even joke about it. Because
somebody called him Buford.
Yeah,
like, couldn't get his last name right.
I used to always have fun saying his name, but I can't even do that anymore because thinking about that stupid incident.
Hey, if you're on Twitter and you're watching us, come over to YouTube. I would love to have the views on YouTube, and it helps us get the channel out there to people. I see a lot of people, mostly everybody's on Twitter, other than like 3 people. So I
just saw somebody jump off of Twitter actually, so maybe they're jumping onto here.
Yeah, come over to the YouTube channel. Join us on YouTube. I would love it. Please
come to Death Row.
Yeah, come over to Death Row, because our head coach isn't all up in the videos.
If you're tired to see your head coach, it's like trying to see your wide receiver up in them Instagram videos and blah blah, talking about how much money he wants to make.
Yeah, bro. If anybody knows what we're talking about, okay. Let's talk about something that pissed me off the other day, but at the same time, I kind of understood where he was coming from. So, Kyle Juszczyk doesn't like the idea or the I'm trying to think of the word. The Niners the notion that the Niners can't win the big game. He says that's inaccurate and it's not a true statement of this team. And then he tried to make it to where, well, we won a bunch of big games in order to get to the big games. It doesn't mean we can't win the big game. That's a loser mindset, bro. I don't know about you.
Okay, so they've won games of importance, if that's what he wants to say. I get that. And, playoff games are obviously bigger than regular seasons game. Now, the big game is the only game we all know, and that's the Super Bowl or the dance or whatever you want to call it. Now, we haven't won it in recent years. There's been a few, last one that we lost, obviously, there was a million screw ups. If one of those things goes right, we win. Unfortunately, 50 things went bad and none of them went right and we lost. But I don't think we can't win it. I think we can win it. I think we're definitely capable of doing it. I'm hearing, things out of camp that we're deeper. I want to mention this later, but I'll mention it now. I mean, there report coming out of camp. I'll get into it a bit more in depth later, but sounds like we're deeper at certain position groups than we were last year. We had more than enough talent to win it last year. It's just about doing things, executing things properly in the moment, staying healthy. Health is important. The Dre Greenlaw thing really derailed us. I can go on and on about what they need to do, but I don't think they can't. I never say they can't. I mean, there's been plenty of people in this world who have overcame all kinds of obstacles that the odds were way shittier for them than what this team has. The odds are pretty good for us to do well and go back. I'm not saying we're going to do it this year, but just in the future with the guys that we have, with the squad that we have, with the coaching we have. So I'm never going to say can't with this current organization, with this current team and what we have, but we haven't done it yet. That's the thing, though.
All I do, and I know this is an old head talking because I'm in my mid 40s, and Leon, I could understand that viewpoint too. My thing is, I got to go back to the old teams, like the old 49er teams of old. Like it was either winning a Super Bowl or is considered a failed year. Those two times we lost to the Dallas Cowboys, back-to-back years. The Niners went in crazy mode in 1994, 95. They signed every free agent possible. They signed Dion. I mean, it was like panic to the 100th degree because it was Super Bowl or bust because they hadn't been able to get past them. If you recall in the late 80s, if you were alive, after that 1987 loss, and we'd already had 2 Super Bowl victories at that point, when the Niners lost to the Vikings in 87, Niners were the best team in the NFL that year. In a strike-shortened year, Rice could have had a gazillion touchdowns, but he still had over 20. I think it was like 22 or something at the time. But like they lost. They were the number 1 seed and they lost to Minnesota. They got blown out. Steve Young came in relief, but they still lost. Bill Walsh was going to get fired after that game if it wasn't for Carmen policy, because it was a Super Bowl or bust. Now, to me, it's with this team, it's like Super Bowl or conference championship or bust. That's what I'm hearing from these guys. Like I can't sign up with the mindset of like you won a bunch of games to get to the Super Bowl. You're not a losing team. I still think that the Super Bowl is the ultimate prize, and if you don't win it, then you're a loser. I'm not saying you're a loser as an organization. I just think, I don't know. It's just me personally. I don't know how you break that down in your brain because you lived through the 80s teams a little bit. You were a little bit younger. Go ahead, Bashar.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I unfortunately didn't watch the first 2 Super Bowls. I mean, the second Super Bowl that we won, I watched it, vaguely. It was on in the background, but I wasn't really paying attention. I didn't know the game back then. But I was fortunate enough to see 2 excellent wins by Montana back to back. That was awesome. And I watched plenty of Montana when I first became a Niner fan. And yeah, I'm sure. And it was more behind the scenes. They didn't have social media back then. All we had pretty much had was TV, radio, and the newspaper. And there were a lot of things going on with Walsh that we didn't even know about. It was pretty crazy. Like, and when he won that second one, when he won his last Super Bowl, he didn't win the back-to-back one. He actually walked away and let Seifert take over. And he could have won back-to-back Super Bowls that year easily, but I guess he just felt like the pressure was too much, because that was a 10-6 season where they won the Super Bowl. They actually lost to the Raiders in Candlestick that season too, and I guess he just felt like the pressure. He's like, okay, now's the time for me to walk away. And
he said he wished he hadn't after because he thinks he could have won a bunch.
He said so. Yeah, that would have been nice if he stuck around, and that would have been nice.
That 89 team was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Beating Denver 55-10. That was the year. That was the year we lost. What was it? Fuller, the safety, got injured. He was
the year before. I thought we lost Fuller, wasn't it?
No, it was 89. It was the year of the,
okay. And then Chet Brooks took over. Yeah, Chet Brooks took over.
They're
and
saying
Chet
Fuller
Brooks,
could have been as good as Lott or one of the better safeties.
Fuller, man, he looked like a linebacker playing safety. He was way bigger than linebacker. I wish I could have saw more of him. I barely got to watch the guy. And then Chet Brooks came over, and Chet Brooks was nice. Wasn't as big, but he was just a really good, nice safety, and he was up and coming. And I was like, wow, Chet Brooks is nice. Him and Ronnie Lott. And then Chet Brooks gets injured, and then he doesn't come back, and he retires way early, which sucked. And we brought in Dave Waymer, and we only had Dave Waymer for one season. I believe season he had like 7 picks. And then, we let him go to the Raiders. I wish he would have stuck around. We let him and Locke go to the Raiders. Wish we would have kept both of them.
Tim Magruder was what, a corner?
Magruder was a nickel corner. He was more of a backup
Magruder.
Magruder. Yeah, we got him for the Dolphins. I remember him. Yeah, that's a random name to bring up.
Yeah, I just thought of Tim.
I think it was Michael. I thought it was Michael Magruder. Was it? I know he went to Stanford.
It could have been. Yeah, I'm thinking. John V's in the house. What up,
John V?
What's going on, man? Appreciate you coming.
Yeah, Michael Magruder. Yep.
So it was Michael Magruder, and I was thinking of Tim McKyer too. Tim
McKyer, he was really nice, man. He was a very what do you call those? He's kind of more of a hit and miss type player, though. He'd always like go for the interception. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the Niners, they were really good. They had a lot of depth too in those years.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, it's good to have a lot of depth. That's great. I know Fred Warner said something today about the Niners could be all time with their secondary, and I tweeted Fred Warner. I said, just go and do it, man.
Yeah, Diamondor Lenore said this is the deepest secondary room that he's seen. Now, not that he's been with the team forever, but and supposedly, according to some people, he's one of the standout players in camp. So
yeah, Demo's been getting a lot of high praise. Javarius Ward, I haven't heard much about him.
I heard that very few people can beat Javarius Ward, and Ronnie Bell was one of the few guys to beat him on one play.
Hey, it's good to have deep. It's good to be deep. It's good. I hope it runs true. I hope it plays out to be true. I thought we were really good and deep last year, and it wasn't enough. So, like you said, I'm still processing the loss of the Super Bowl even now, but I'm starting to kind of get into the mindset of this season. I'll tell you, the COVID season, after we lost to the Chiefs first time, that season started and I wasn't ready for football. And then not having any fans in the stands or on television, it was weird. So
after we lost the Super Bowl, and then
it was just that was a strange season.
Mostert pulled off 2 amazing, huge touchdowns, and the next thing you know, he's gone within a blink of an eye, and Bosa's gone, and then our quarterback's gone, and everybody's gets hurt.
Papa J says, on another note, do you think we could have won the Super Bowl if our front office would have kept D'Amico Ryans one more year? Yes.
Oh, I think yes.
Absolutely.
Wilkes' coverages at the end of that Super Bowl
was horrible.
Or garbage.
Wilkes was a travesty. I don't know was he working for somebody else? Was he covert? Like, what was happening? Like,
who?
I know. Right?
What was Oren Burks? Without me yelling and cussing and getting pissed, but I'm going to say it in a funny way.
Why was Oren Burks on Travis Kelce?
Why was young Travis Kelce the majority of the game when you got Fred Warner on that defense? I know Greenlaw's hurt. I get it. But please do something about that. Too late now.
And what's this obsession with zero blitzing too? I do not understand that. You can't do that with a guy.
There were times where they did blitz and dudes were getting held right when they're about to sack Mahomes though. So.
Yeah, well, they don't call holds when we play the Chiefs. You know that.
Yeah, I know. That's just so pathetic. I saw some stat. Oh my gosh, I'll pull it up on my phone. It's on my phone. Dude, this stat will open up your eyes. Here's an eye-opening stat for quarterback enthusiasts. I read off my phone. So since taking over as the Chiefs starter, Patrick Mahomes has 53 interceptions called back by penalty. Then the second most in the NFL is Josh Allen with 7. So this guy will throw picks, and the referees will be like blowing the whistle and calling it back. And you get an interception off Mahomes, good chance there's a penalty involved. So
I don't want to say that the NFL is rigged, but man, sometimes it sure feels like it. Feels like you're playing 2 teams, the team across from you and the team in the zebra suits. But hey, still had a chance to win it, and we didn't capitalize, and they did, straight up.
I'm laughing when I see his name, Papa J, because I think of Papa John's Pizza.
I'm thinking of Papa John's too. Do you have any garlic sauce with that? No, I'm just kidding.
That garlic sauce. I mean, if you want to,
the greatest thing ever invented. It's like crack.
I wouldn't suggest it if you're, trying to watch your weight and got diabetes.
Don't watch
it. Yeah, because that will send you straight to the hospital. You might as well just melt like a pound of butter and just
throw a heart attack in a freaking cup.
Yeah, that's last time
I had Papa John's. So
I didn't
Papa John's went out of business
with
in New York, upstate, for some reason.
Really?
Something happened. They're finally back. We have one place. It's like 20 minutes away. My brother called me one day. He's like, "Have you eaten lunch?" Just come home from work. He's like, "Bro, I got Papa John's. I haven't had it in like 7 years." Dude, the garlic sauce was so good. It was. I'll
say this, for a chain, Papa John's is pretty reliable. It's not like, my pizza's obviously better. I make my own pizza, but Papa John's has a certain taste. Like, I value the taste of the dough for whatever, whenever it comes to pizza, more so than the sauce and the cheese and toppings. And their dough has a pretty nice taste to it. There's another chain that's kind of similar, Marco's. If you've had that, they're based on the East Coast. Their toppings might be a little bit better, but their dough is not as good. But most people in my family like Marco's better as a chain. Or we have Round Table on the West Coast.
I see the commercials all the time for Marco's, but they're not in Rochester.
Yeah, we have one location right by me and 2 other locations in our area. They just came to California like 3 years ago.
Interesting. Sorry, guys.
We're always throwing that you're half Sicilian. I'm actually Middle Eastern, but I'm a big pizza junkie. I make pizza all the time in my pizza.
He's a Middle Eastern redhead who not only cooks Middle Eastern food, but cooks pizza. And I think he cooks his pizza better than he cooks his Middle Eastern food.
My kebabs are pretty good. My kebabs definitely rival a lot of local restaurants. So do my pizza. So.
Well, there you go, guys.
But when you say Middle Eastern food, there's a whole gigantic.
Right. It's a big
game. So many different items that I don't make because they're very time consuming, and they're more of what the moms make. I could never get on their level for sure.
Leon Sandcastle said, to be fair, it's not the front office's fault. D'Amico took it. No, it wasn't. He says you can't tell him not to take a promotion. Of course.
I was mentioning this yesterday. Like, it's like, it's cool that the Niners do a great job of breeding these great defensive coordinators, Robert Saleh, D'Amico Ryans. I can go down the list. And now we have, Sorensen and even Brandon Staley in the mix. And it's like,
let's talk about that. We'll switch the
we'll talk over to it. The other day, and a lot of people were crapping all over Brandon Staley as a hire. But if you have Diamador Lenore telling the media that he's a genius,
he's the Kyle Shanahan of defense, he said.
Yeah, and so give the guy a chance. So let's take a seat and enjoy the ride. Let's enjoy this. Now, hopefully, him and Sorensen could stick around for a while, and we can make something good. Perhaps win a couple of Super Bowls or a Super Bowl, and hopefully, it's just not a 1-year thing that we keep doing this 1-year crap with D coordinators like. Oh, hey, either they perform awesome and do a great job and all these other teams want them and now they're gone, or it's like they do okay and then and they weren't so great with the Wilkes and then we.
I don't understand that either.
I just hate changing the coaches all the damn time. It's so annoying,
and the players don't like it either. That's why they made it sound like last year that the defense coordinator, his name is escaping me. Who was the defense coordinator?
Sideline Steve Wilkes.
Steve Wilkes. They're like, we're not changing anything. It's gonna be more of the same. He's got to focus on defensive backs. Well, that never transpired, right? Now we have essentially a 2-headed defensive coordinator. We have Staley in the booth and Sorensen, who looks a little bit kind of like a fiend, but whatever.
What, like a drug fiend?
He looks a little rough.
Well, he's got that surfer hair and stuff like that. Well, his profile picture. He looks
some
clean
moose
cut.
or something in that thing and comb it.
His profile picture looks totally different than what he is in real life. It's like.
So we got essentially two defense coordinators. It's like quarterback. When you have 2, you have none, right? Or I don't know how this is going to play out. I don't know why they just didn't hire Staley and make Sorensen like defensive quality control or something. I don't know. I don't know. What is your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm just like you. I'm hoping it works. It sounds kind of odd and funny, but make it work, make it happen, man. Do something. We got so many damn good players on this defense. I don't know how you could mess this up. So allegedly
Steve-O, the guy that makes fake accounts and comes in here and causes trouble.
I don't know if this is the real Steve-O or a fake one.
I think this is allegedly. I don't know anymore. He says, I won tickets to preseason 49ers Saints thanks to East Coast Red and Gold. Yeah, they got hookups.
Oh, okay, cool.
They
Oh,
get all
yeah,
the best guests.
Jess has all the hookups.
They
more
have
so
great
than
guests.
they have great guests. John V's up in the chat. What's he saying?
John V says, listen, Aaron, if there's any bit of advice I can give you, sometimes letting things go is an act of far greater power than hanging on. I have a problem with that, not just with football, brother, but in real life.
Who's he quoting, though? He's got the quotation mark. Are you quoting yourself or are you quoting some famous guy that we don't know about?
He's right, though.
Hey, we're all guilty of it. I'm guilty of it, too.
Listen, I got bullied as a kid. I got punched in the face, knocked out cold, almost choked to death. I have a very, very bad temper now because I'm always like, anytime someone wants, like, I'm ready to roll, right?
You're defensive, yeah.
I'm super defensive because of that. And you're right. You live with anger or you live holding on to things. It's worst. It's the most unhealthy thing you can do. It's on your wall in your office. That's awesome.
Cool. I'd love to go to your restaurant one day, John V. You know, we've had that conversation multiple times. I wish I lived by you so I could be your once a day pizza man.
I want to go there and have a nice scrambled egg breakfast.
Yeah. John V, what's your favorite item to eat there at your own little restaurant? How about that? Not little, but I mean, at your diner. What's your go-to item that you think tastes the best in terms of everything you guys make? Because I know those diners have a gigantic menu usually.
Grape leaves?
I don't know. I don't think he makes those. My mom makes those. Really, really well. And that grape leaf dish we call it dolma. I think in Greek they call it dolmatis. It's almost the same name, but it looks the same in every country that makes it, but it tastes different in every country that makes it too. But my mom is like an all pro when it comes to making that. And it's funny because people make jokes. We make little jokes like when you roll up each leaf with the meat and the rice in it, it's like rolling up a blunt or something. I don't know.
Big fat blunt. John V says the Super Bowl loss is something that drained me beyond repair, but I'm back. I'm really back.
Oh yeah.
That was the hardest thing I've ever endured in my non-personal life, or losing somebody in death or something. Beyond that, when that game ended, I was with my brother. We were sitting in his room. He had a big TV. When they scored that touchdown, bro, I didn't say nothing. And I hear my brother say to my mom, I wish there was something I could do for him. I feel for him so badly. My mom felt so bad. I didn't want to talk to anybody or hear anything from anyone. I went in my room, I turned my lights off, and I just laid there. It sucked. Yeah, it sucked.
We're going to answer John's. Go ahead. We'll read John's stuff and I'll reply to what you said.
All of my breakfast is made to order, so naturally all the pancakes, French toast, and stuff from scratch with fruits and whatever you like. As far as lunch or beef tips and noodles are fire.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, so here's something I want you to try at where you work. I went to this hole in the wall, you can call it a dive bar or whatever. My uncle, he's really cheap. One of my mom's brothers, cheap Italian guy. Dude, they had some like Oreo cookie with chocolate chips in the pancakes with Oreo cookie mix something in it. Bro, it was rich, but it was some of the greatest pancakes I've ever had in my entire life. It was awesome.
Sounds like fun. Hey. You go.
I've been lucky at my work. I rep the Niners all the time. People will give me Niners stuff. Got my sign, Joe Montana football, for being a good friend, a nice Purdy jersey, $20. John V says, what's getting me back on the horse is that this team is getting better and younger in certain areas, specifically the secondary running back room. Yeah. Let's jump ship to some of the players that are standing out of camp right now. We have
let me touch on the thing you were talking about really quick about the Super Bowl and losing.
All right.
I want to respond to that.
Yep.
So I mean, everybody's different. Everybody handles things differently. Just for me personally, I endured a lot of painful things over the years from 2013 till now. I lost my brother. A couple years before that, I lost a good friend of mine and my grandparents. Yep. And then last year I lost a whole lot of people. One of my friends committed suicide. So just all these terrible things that happened to me kind of thickened my skin a bit.
We both lost somebody close to us last year.
Yeah. So, I lost 2 other people too last year too, but it just really sucks. But at the same time, like watching a football game and losing a football game as big as it is on the biggest stage you could possibly think of, It bothered me. Obviously, it hurt, but it definitely didn't hurt as bad as losing those people. So it just kind of grounded me in that way. But that day, though, I made a few phone calls after the game, and had we won, obviously, I would have went live. But I was just so drained, and then after all the phone calls I made with people, I just jumped on my bed and took a nap. Maybe like 8 o'clock or so. I forgot, man. Like I just slept really, really early that night.
I had some mango habanero chicken smash burger with some beet sauce. It was fire.
Oh, that sounds like it'd be really spicy, the habaneros. But my bad, Aaron, though. You can go ahead and go to the next topic.
Yeah, so John was talking about being deep at certain positions. One of the positions that a lot of people have been talking about is running back. Namely, I think he's undrafted free agent Cody Schrader. They've also had Dominic Pooney doing really good, and Ricky Parasol is shining in camp. So running back seems like the talk is more JP Mason, and I'm hearing a lot about Cody Schrader. Kind of sounds like to me, and I don't know about you, Bash, sounds like a certain somebody who gets hurt all the time might be the odd man out this year. What do you think?
Talking about Elijah Mitchell?
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to be really excited about the guy, but like I felt like
can't stay healthy.
For whatever reason, Shanahan had no faith in the guy. He was barely on the field. John V and I were talking about CMC, and we were just talking about we hope that CMC can get a bit more rest on the sidelines this season and have the other guys like Mitchell and Mason, whoever else, maybe split up some of the carries just to preserve CMC's body. But I'm a bit bummed out because the guy I was most excited about, the height, weight, speed guy that we rarely ever draft or that we rarely ever sign, Isaac Guerrero.
He's hurt.
Yeah, big dude. He's
for a while.
235 pounds. Ran a 4.35 40s. He's going to be gone for a while. So sucks. Yep. I really wanted to see him develop and see what he can do. So these other UDFA type running backs don't really excite me. Now, if I see it in a game, the preseason game, and he looks pretty good, I'll be like, okay, cool. We all know that there are times where Jordan Mason has very limited opportunities, but he looks pretty good. So I don't know why he doesn't get on the field enough. It's a huge question mark with his running back room. But Kyle Juszczyk said this is the deepest running back room he's ever seen. So take it for what it's worth.
We have my better half in here supporting the stream.
What up, Jupiter?
Hello, babe. Thanks for coming through. Appreciate it. Yeah. I remember Jupiter talking to me after the Super Bowl. She's just trying so hard to make me, I'm here for you and this. And I was just like, the cloud was so huge. And it's sports. It's not that important, right? In real life, like you said, I lost my dad the year that was it 2013? I forget what year was the Super Bowl that we went against the Ravens? Was it the 2013 season?
It was a 2012 season, but the Super Bowl was played in 2013, February.
So yeah,
it was on my birthday, February 3rd, my birthday.
So like my dad passed away in 2013. So like that 2014 when we lost to Seattle, like I was so bummed, but I had so much other stuff going on, like I've lost both my grandmothers over the course of the last decade. So you're right. Like other things kind of take precedent over, but man, this past Super Bowl loss because of how close we were, like within a minute, 10 seconds. If somebody rushes the quarterback and tips that ball up into the air that he throws into the end zone in the game, it's a whole different, but our defense couldn't even get close to him at the end of that drive.
Yeah.
It was just,
Wilkes' coverages were ass.
I am, John V, you're right. Like now that I'm thinking about it, I'm starting to get more hyped for this season. Once the games get going, I'll be back to.
I said this on my last podcast. I said on the previous podcast with you, I was in hibernation mode. I did not call my friends up to talk Niners. What was there to talk about? Oh, Brandon Ayuk's holding out. Next week, Brandon Ayuk's holding out. They still haven't signed Ayuk. I hate talking about that stuff. It's not fun for me. So now that we actually have
there's people that have been talking Niners stuff since the Super Bowl ended. And
I can't do it. Hats off to them, but I can't do it. I
don't make money off of YouTube anymore. They took away my monetization. So other than my love for talking 49ers with my friends on here, I have no outside force making me come on here to talk about zero. Like the draft is cool, schedule release, training, in free agency, but that's it. And there's small little windows. What did you think about hearing? They're saying that Dominic I keep calling him Pooney.
Pooney. It's Pooney. It's Pooney.
They're saying he might have that right guard job on lock. Like on lock.
Yeah,
like
our favorite player, Spencer Burford, broke his hand, right? So
hey, people say you can't lose your job to an injury. Yes, you can. If the rookie that they brought in to help compete for that job or compete for that, center or guard position is that ridiculously good. Dude, I mean, all the reports have been he's been amazing. Again, people I trust, the Mayokas, the Matt Mayoka or Matt Barros, my guy Raj, Sterling Bennett. If those guys are saying it, I'm believing it. So, and then of course Ricky Pearsall, ever since he's been healthy, they're saying they said he's legit, like a legit route runner. He's got great hands. Tell you what, bro, like I hope he shines because, hey, it makes that Ayuk holding out a way less painful, and it actually makes the Niners look less desperate, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. And back to the depth. I mean, if we do have Ayuk on board this season, this is going to be the deepest wide receiver room by far, since from the Shanahan era, or maybe over the past 10 years. I mean, I don't remember the Harbaugh teams ever having receivers as deep as we have right now. So definitely certain things there that potentially to be excited about. I'm going to temper down the level of excitement. We haven't had a damn preseason game yet, but it's good for somebody who fans didn't care for at the pick. That was probably a unanimous sigh where everybody had their heads down when they announced that first round pick. Everybody wanted to tackle or somebody, that they were, clamoring for, obviously, and Ricky Pearsall wasn't. In many draft boards, he was supposed to go in the 4th round. Then people were like, oh, well, other teams wanted him in the 2nd round. And then CJ Stroud made me feel a bit better about the pick with his reaction. He thought it was illegal for us to draft Ricky Pearsall. At the end of the day, Ricky Pearsall just got to get on the field and prove himself. It sounds like he works hard at his craft. Sounds like he's, his skill level in terms of running routes, he's a step above a lot of players who are already established on our team. Actually, Debo's not a great route runner. So, yeah. Okay, Fazil. Okay, cool. You're going to go into training camp with your wife and your cousins, your sister. That's good to hear. Congratulations to Fazil. He recently got married. He had one of the dopest Pakistani weddings or just weddings in general, man. That was just like that was like that wedding that Kim Kardashian went to India with, that huge, gigantic celebrity wedding they had in India. And Kim Kardashian and all these celebrities. I don't know. Well, Fazil got married.
Oh, congratulations,
yeah. His wedding videos were just on Instagram were just amazing. One of the best looking weddings I've ever seen. It was awesome. So, yeah, congratulations to him. That's awesome. But yeah, I forgot what I was saying Niner wise, but something about the wide receiver core. Yeah, it's good that they have depth. Now back to Pooney. You mentioned offensive line. Yeah. Me, me, I'm always talking offensive line. I was banging on the table for freaking DeJuan Jones last year in the draft when we had 3 chances to get him. We didn't get a tackle this year. When they got Pooney, I was like, oh, well, are they going to play him a tackle? I hear he played tackle, but they're like, no, he's got short arms. We're not going to play him there. He's got short arms.
You can't play tackle if you got short arms.
Yeah, I know. It's just like kind of sucks, but hey, if he can be an improvement at the right guard position. Now, I didn't want anything handed to him on a silver platter at the same time, though. That's why I do kind of think it sucks.
He's massive.
That Burford got injured, though. I kind of wish they'd have more head-to-head in that competition, but I've heard a lot of good things so far early on about Pooney, so I'm gonna be optimistic about him. And I wish we had somebody out there to challenge McKivitz because I think he's trash.
Yeah, I think he's trash too. I want to go back to the injuries that we were talking about. One injury that has really got me hot, and not in a good hot way, like, oh, I'm so hot for her.
Drop it like it's hot.
I'm pissed. And I think the Niners are too, is Drake Jackson.
Oh yeah. I posted something on my Facebook about that. I'm not sure if you caught that.
Drake Jackson, we were sold a bag of goods or a bill of goods, whatever the saying is, about how good he was. He was raw, but he had all this great bend. And that was the talk. He had a great bend. He could get around the corner. Man, last year, I said to Bashar, and I think I said it to Raj, because he had a game where he had 3 sacks. I said, watch that cat not have one more sack the rest of the year. And guess what happened? Didn't have a sack for the rest of the year.
I was saying that. I'm not sure if you may have said it before me, but I was definitely saying that right around the time we lost to the Browns or something like that, right around that time of the season, I was like, you know what? Those 3 sacks that he got in game 1, I bet you those are his last sacks of the season. And lo and
you
behold,
say
they
that
were.
and you want to be wrong, but I'm like,
yeah. Well, you know, it's like
we need the depth.
I literally got into an argument over the phone with this because I was like, chat, what up, Red Gel? It's just Bashar's back, double shot. Aaron is back online. Dynamic Duo is back. Appreciate it. Yay, like and sub. Thank you, Red Jet.
Thank you, Red Jet.
Check her out with Terradome on Terradome's channel. She's always on there on the morning shows. And yeah, who was the player? Oh yeah, I remember. Oh my gosh, man. I hate it when I talk about something that I totally forget. Who was I just talking about? It was just on the tip of my tongue. Drake Jackson. I'm sorry, Drake Jackson. Oh,
we were all thinking the same thing.
It's like, dude, like if it looks like a bust, if it talks like a bust, if it walks like a bust, it's a bust. I literally got in an argument with a friend of mine just the other day because they said Drake Jackson officially is going to miss all of training camp. When I saw that, I posted on Facebook, Drake Jackson is officially a bust. And one guy got mad at me. The rest of them were like, yeah, you're right. And one guy was like, man, I really had high hopes for this guy. I think he was kind of disappointed that I said it in a mean way. But at the end of the day, I'm sorry, Drake Jackson. I'm for real. I'm being real, man. You're going to miss all of training camp. How in the hell are you going to compete for this damn to get on the field? I mean, you're not
Ryan
there.
Should make the team over him.
Dude, they're going to sign another DN. They have to. We barely have any DNs. We don't have much for depth at that position now.
My thought is, what about we drafted him last year, pass rusher. People were saying he had really good speed.
Robert Beal Jr. Yeah,
Robert Beal Jr.
Yeah.
He needs to have a really good preseason because you're right.
Better.
We have one injury and we're toast. We have a very light, like it's Bosa. It's
Leonard Floyd, who's having a really nice camp, by the way.
Gross Matos. That's pretty much it. Those are our ends. So Beal and you would have thought Drake Jackson was going to come out and be healthy and whatever. How does he have a knee injury? Like what happened?
He had patellar tendon knee surgery in January, and he still hasn't healed from it. That's what happened. What was John V saying?
Can't stand Drake the rapper now. Now I'm fed up with Drake the Niner. They both suck.
They not like us. Who's that dude on Kendrick Lamar? They have that beef with Drake. I didn't follow that beef, but I know they're at one
Drake's
song.
Better. Hey, listen. I'm not really into modern rap, but I could say that Drake's better than Travis King. Because Travis King sucks. Sorry, not sorry. His rap is doo-doo cheese, okay? So, yeah.
I'm sorry, so sorry.
People are like, why are you hating on Travis King? I'm like, really? Do I have to explain?
I know people were ripping on Drake and they say that he got toasted in that battle between Kendrick Lamar, but Drake's done a lot. He's had a lot of, I believe, from like 2011 till now, he's been pretty relevant. So even if he got toasted in that rap battle against Kendrick Lamar, I didn't even follow the battle, but he's done a lot. I can't hate on the guy. And there's a lot of his stuff is at least listenable to me. There's a lot of the shit out there that's not listenable at all. I can't listen to it.
Like Lil Yachty and all those guys that
anything Lil Jon is okay. Lil Wayne, those are the only two I can let slide. But anything little that came out in the past 7 years are all trash.
So Jupiter says, "How about an Eminem rap for the Niners?" Eminem's a Lions fan.
Yeah, he flipped off the Niner fans at the Lions game.
Yeah, he flipped us off in the NFC Championship game. He's an incredible rapper, probably one of the greatest of a generation. But nah, no way. Let's see here.
I was gonna say shout out to Rick Diaz in the chat.
Rick Diaz, thank you for coming through. I appreciate it. He said he hadn't been in here a while.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you coming through. Let's see here. We pretty much hit everything.
We covered a lot.
We'll do it live. How about CMC and Trent Williams both being part of the 99 club on Madden?
I saw that. I haven't played Madden in years. So I bought a PS4 and I bought Madden and I bought a couple other games, but when I bought this system, 8 years ago or whatever, all I pretty much was playing was Madden. And then, when you're online, you're locked in online, you're connected to the internet, and your people on your friends list can see what game you're playing. And my friend used to always be like, all you play is Madden. All you play. I'm like, that's the only game I really care for. I love football. I don't, I bought a couple other games, but that's the only game. But then I just stopped playing altogether. Maybe I'll start up and get a PS5. Who knows?
This is her favorite word, by the way, when she's upset or when she's just being feisty.
Wow, what a douche.
What a
but
douche.
That's cool. When I was playing that,
was one of my pet names when she first met me.
Douche.
She's in a playful way.
Okay. I was going to say, but back to my Madden playing days, I don't ever recall seeing any Niners that were 99. So to have two Niner players with a Madden 99 rating is a pretty big deal, actually.
Let me ask you this. This isn't a topic. Is Christian McCaffrey the best 49er running back we've ever had?
The best. He's in the conversation. It's a little too early because we haven't had him for so long. I mean, I need to see
what he can do on the field, though.
I mean, as far as his versatility,
Craig was the closest thing to him.
Craig was the closest. Craig was a lot bigger and stronger. I don't know. It's hard for me to say who's the best. I mean, my favorite was Ricky Waters, actually, but he barely played for us. But.
Yeah. John V saying hello to Jupiter. Thank you so much. John V's a good guy. My cat's outside the door meowing.
Oh, she plays Madden. Okay.
Does she?
All right, that's cool. You should play her. She just put it.
She would probably be. Let's see. She said her family are. She
said, "I love doing Hail Marys." There you go. You should play her one day.
Gotta let her win though. Watch her kick my ass. I've gotten pretty bad at Madden over the years. Like I said, last time I ever played against anybody, was my nephew, and he absolutely just. I mean, it was like a 45-7, just monster whooping. And I was like, yeah, I've officially retired from playing real people at all. It's straight franchise on all Madden, of course. All Madden franchise.
I always had fun playing people online. I always had fun with people. I just thought it was hilarious.
She plays Hail Marys like my wife. That's funny. Craig is closest to Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, I hope one day we can solve the mystery of who Leon Sandcastle is. Is it Deion Sanders in your chat? Or?
Yeah, if it is, man, share the news of this freaking YouTube channel, son.
What if it's been him the whole time and we're just sitting there like a bunch of idiots? Like, oh.
She said it was the first one on the one on first Xbox. Yeah, they come out every year, unfortunately. So every year they release one. Jupiter, that's basically a fossil. Yeah, we've pretty much touched everything that we needed to talk about. Me and Bashar are pretty much going to try to come to you guys weekly. We'll see how the training camp and everything play out. But in the regular season, Mondays, I would say about 9 p.m. is what we're looking for, unless one of us either can't make it or it's a Monday night game. And if it's a Monday night game, it's either going to be done the day after or the day prior to like a pregame or something. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Anything else you want to talk about, Bashar, before getting out of here? Are you doing anything on your channel? I know you had John V on yesterday.
Yeah, nothing set in stone just yet, but hopefully, maybe by the end of this week, I might go live again, and there might be something new to talk about, and definitely next week I'll go live again. So nothing really set in stone though, but if anything does come up, I'll post it on my Twitter or post it on my community tab and let people know.
What's your biggest takeaways really if everything we talked about? Like, is it health for you? Because for me, health is the biggest enemy of this team. If this team is healthy and they're as deep as they're saying they are, and Fred Warner's saying a bunch of stuff about the defense, I'm more of a prove it kind of guy. Isn't health really our biggest enemy?
I think so. I mean, the Drake Greenlaw injury said it best. I mean, the Brock Purdy injury against the Eagles spoke volumes. I mean, so yeah, health is wealth, as they always say. So I don't want to necessarily think about it too much, but hopefully you find a way to get it done some way, somehow.
John V said, God, it felt great to bullshit Niners fans. Always feels good to bullshit about the Niners. If I had to say anything, one thing is I saw something where Purdy pretty much said he didn't feel 100% with his arm until the Jags game. So a lot of 49er fans were saying he was 100%, and even he said he was, working through things. But I just found that as we close out the show, Purdy said straight up he wasn't healthy completely with his arm until the Jaguars game last year. That was, after we had our little slip up.
Me.
Yeah, I saw it.
Oh.
Listen, man, me, it's all about health, just like you said. And if this team stays healthy, they should be back in the Final Four or divisional, whatever. It's just a matter of if we can just get past the Kansas City Chiefs. It's like we're destined to play them, even though I don't really want to. But then at the same time, if we beat them, then it's like we finally
maybe they'll choke in the playoffs, and then we'll play somebody else.
Who though?
I'll welcome that.
I think the NFC is
I don't care who
stronger.
we play, just as long as we win. What up, Terradome?
We're about to get out of here, but I appreciate you coming through to say hello before we do. Went about an hour. Terradome and oh my God,
Red Jet was on.
And Red Jet, they have a show together as well on YouTube, so you got to check that out. It's on Terradome's channel, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. That's going to do it for everybody. We'll talk to you guys hopefully next week with some more new Niner news, and hopefully by the time we talk to you next week, we'll have Trent Williams and Brandon Ayuk signing new contracts. See you, everybody.
See you guys. Go Niners.
Of course, let me log out. All right, bye, everyone.